So yeah, let's do it. So this is the Next Matters Most podcast conversation series conceived prior to the pandemic around sort of the future of business, technology, and entrepreneurship. So just talking to people in my network and then eventually getting outside of that network, sharing things like, your why, what's your story, what you're doing, and what you're doing to get to the next level. Not like necessarily personal growth next level or solely that, but like what is next in healthcare and in business and in tech and entrepreneurship, and how are you anticipating that? What are you doing to run towards that? Now with the pandemic, it's sort of like refocused us on there is that next thing, but hey, there's some urgency now. What are we like? This isn't just talking for the sake of talking. It's like let's get some action plans out there and see what we can get activated. So yeah, I'll likely set up the intro ahead of this conversation. So I'll do a full bio on you and then I close it out so we can kind of keep on time because these things always seem to go late because we get into good combos. But I guess Michael Levy, DHIT, entrepreneur, design thinker, has been in the healthcare space, technology space, innovation space. I think we're damn near the same age. So like for a number of years now. And that's my elevator pitch. Why don't you give your elevator pitch of what you're all about, what you're working on, and
yeah, man. Yeah. So, appreciate the opportunity to chat and cut it up with you, Nick. Always ready for a convo with you as we, naturally kind of jam to the same vibe, right? I think at the end of the day, we get up and see, feel, sense the world a little bit differently than I think, most in respects to, the way the world should look like, the way the world could look like, and perhaps, what our role is in shaping that reality. Growing up both in New Orleans as a street rat, so to speak, in New Orleans, seeing the various realities of health disparity, socioeconomic disparity, both being part of it and being kind of privy to some of the higher classes and the higher wishes and the higher wants of life. It was always real evident of the inequities that exist, and I think that theme has kind of carried with me through my career as a healthcare administrator, spending a decade in the academic medical center, health system space, running clinical operations and seeing, the difference between those who have and those who don't have, and those who get great care and those who can't get care. And then, realizing that, shoot, we're on the, we're at the very beginning of a massive sea change. And as we shift from the 20th century to the 21st century, and take our role and take our seat, what's that new world look like? And so I think, as you kind of, laid out to kick this off, is like, there's no time to sit around and wait for it. There's no time to sit around and just talk about it. This is about, rolling up the sleeves, getting dirty and moving forward, knowing that the future that can be, should be, and what's our role in making that happen. So, I get up every morning, shooting for the stars and knowing that, every day we get closer to reaching it, but it ain't without, good friends and good partnerships and a hell of a lot of work to get there.
That's right. What door do you think is like cracked open because of COVID that you're most excited about busting through?
And I think the cultural kind of progression has been astronomical as it relates to a society that was wired a certain way to, a level of complacency and comfort as it relates to what the system provided for us, i.e., going to an office to have to do work, separating home and work, looking at the way we shop, the way we consume, the way we engage. Now everything is blown up. Our conventions no longer exist; they're to be formed. So, I look at this as a wide open window, or blown open door, not even a crack anymore. Everything's on the table, and if you're not thinking about how to take advantage and look at this as an opportunity, you're not seeing the wide open door that I'm seeing.
Right. Yeah, I totally co-sign on that, because I actually, this podcast isn't about smashing boxes, but when I started smashing boxes, it was like, oh yeah, you're just like smashing the box, or you're a moving company. But anyways, that's a separate thing. We're not a moving company. But the point was like, there is no box, like a box represents a constraint. And so what we're seeing is like constraints like falling down. And one of which is like, technology always seems like it gets the stiff arm in healthcare. Like, oh, that's too hard, or that's going to create an inconvenience for someone over in billing and all this. And like, oh, people getting territorial, and all of a sudden people are like, you know what? At the end of the day, we've got to do what we can do to improve our population health across our entire population. And we need to all be okay with the fact that this might not be great for one individual or another, or one interest or another. We got to work together to implement the tools that are going to make us more ready for situations like this, and just better and more efficient care models in the future.
Yeah, I think to that point, what we're seeing is a deeper level of understanding that we're all connected, and the virality and the ease of spread of COVID has kind of really amplified the kind of community narrative and the network narrative that humans actually have and are and live and survive by. When you look at chronic disease, take for instance a smoker who is making individual decision to smoke, or an overeater, or a individual who doesn't exercise, or an individual who partakes in. These are all attributes of behaviors that historically we've let the onus on the individual be the individual's onus. But I think what we're going to see is a much more connected society that builds support systems for the aggregate versus the individual. And so the pandemic, as it relates to just what you see in your street, walking out of your house right now, how many neighbors do you see now that you never saw before? How many people do you engage with that you haven't, just in your little circle? We're caring a little bit more about each other. We're looking at each other a little bit more intentfully, both concerned with what each other has and can spread, but also the well-being against or with thy neighbor, if you will. So I do see population health, community health, system health changing. Not just by the use of technologies and the kind of emergence and kind of real amplification of telemedicine and telehealth, but in terms of look, I mean, if we're in this world together, let's take care of each other. Let us survive and live together in a new kind of framework. And I think that's really what's open on the table today, brother. It's it can't be an I world anymore. It's got to be a we world.
Right. That's well said. What's the, damn, I really just want to be like, man, what's going on with this beef with Baby and Manny Fresh? Because like the New Orleans thing, but we can get back to that. I don't want to use up our valuable time about that. But like, I keep hearing like, what's going on with that? Anyway, all right. So DHIT, tell me about like what DHIT's doing and what Michael is doing right now. What do you see the next 5 years for those things? Well, so, like, just give me the overview real quick of like, what's DHIT and what you're all about. What is the future of that, and where is it going, and how is that geared to make an impact? And then maybe loop all the way back and come back to like, and this is what I'm doing right now to
sure
towards that.
I mean, so DHIT is is an organization that was formed a number of years ago, about 4 years ago now, both off of my, unwavering kind of intent to close the gap between those who have and those who don't have. In other words, servicing our vision of a world without health inequity, and acknowledging the fact that there's this massive disconnect between the problems in our communities that we deal with every day. Not just, I say we being an individual who has a shit ton in their life, who's privileged in a lot of respects, right? But also those in underserved, rural, impoverished communities where there's no real identification of the problem from the ground up, and a supply chain that does not understand what the true problems are in the ecosystem. They don't understand, what you and I deal with at home. They don't understand the mental, behavioral, social, environmental aspects of an individual's life. All they really understand is what the health system struggles with from a commercial perspective, which is very different than a social determinant, a behavioral determinant, a genetic determinant narrative. So DHIT is about, exposing the truths, exposing the pain, and closing the gap between that pain and the various global advancements in care. What does that look like in the future if I play this efforts out, and I look at the ability for a benefit package from an insurer to be scripted by you, Nick, to say, wait, I'm Nick Jordan. I know exactly what I could do to improve my wellness and my health, whether it's being, eating better, or going to the gym, or having more time with my family, or let's say installing an AC unit if you don't have air conditioning and you're drenched with heat all day. Whatever that equation is, your insurance benefit package should be framed around you as an individual and your intended ideals to be your best self. That's not the current system, right? The current system is, I'm going to create a benefit package that services my risk and my financial models that spread the kind of sickness that we deal with as a society across everybody, whether it's actual health or financial, right?
Yeah. Is like employer-based healthcare like the main culprit, or is it one culprit? I mean, I got a bunch of like white collar workers getting healthcare. Like, well, damn, they probably have more ability to go source their own stuff.
Well, that's it. I mean, look, as an employer, the employer on average spends $1,200 a month on their employees' health benefit plan. The average employee sees the doctor twice a year. So you're saying on average, it's about $5,000 to $6,000 per appointment for the employer. What value is that? Right. And if you rewrite the equation to say, instead of spending $1,200 a month to an insurance company to author a benefit package that's not being used by the individual employee, to say save 25 to 50% of that employer and pass down 50 to 25% of that down to the individual, to say spend it on the things that make you happy, spend it on the things that make you healthy, spend it on the things that will drive wellness, i.e., from a behavioral health perspective, one of the main issues I have is with this hair. It's like I need a good haircut every 2 weeks for me to feel confident and secure with myself. But that's a
I'll say you look real good right now, man. That beard is what my shit's a shame. I can't even. I'm not going to launch the video version of this.
Right. Yeah. All I'm saying, there are things that play health and wellness that are much deeper than just access to care. An access to a massage therapist could be the difference between happiness and sadness, and the difference between confidence and security versus insecurity. McDonald's, these are all real inputs that lead to detrimental outputs.
Yeah, that's awesome. there's a lot. I guess I want to go so many different places with this, but also looking at the time. When we're looking at what are you thinking about to solve for health inequality, right, or healthcare inequality right now? I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot. You've covered a lot
Yeah.
already.
I think that at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in the replay system. I look at professional athletes and I say, outside of the fact that yes, they have skill, what has been the a constant from the moment they started training was the ability to evaluate um, their, themselves on film, their ability to evaluate objective data on how they're doing to reach their goals. Take, for instance, a football player. He plays on Sunday. Well, what's the very first thing they do on Monday? Go out and play a new game? No, they go and study the film. They see exactly what they did wrong, what they could do better, and then they work all week to fix those problems. And week after week after week, they get better and better and better and better. And what's missing for us as a society is a replay system. Where's the data streams that could be exposed to me that on a weekly, daily basis, I say, shit, well, I could do a little bit better there. Or, that's a behavior I could modify. Yeah, that's doable. And those incremental changes over time change our life. That's what I'd like to develop, and that's what I believe we have the ability to develop against. It's about aggregating all the data that exists about myself and bringing it into a replay system. And I think as we do that, we can start to shift some of the incentives and motivations in the system, such that I get paid myself on the ability to improve myself. No different than a professional athlete.
Yeah, that'd be great. In fact, I feel like I've always just said if I was only a Hollywood movie star, I'd be getting paid to go to the gym, then I would actually work out. Instead, I'm not. I am that person who's doing too much of everything except exercise.
Except the things that actually drive long-term happiness and wellness, right?
That's right. Yeah. But I was like, but if I get paid to work out, then that's the right, I like to get paid.
Think about a solar panel, right?
Yep.
Right. You put a solar panel on your house and that energy powers your house. And as you collect that energy, you can sell it right back to the state for income,
Yep.
Well, someone's buying your data right now back and forth. And so why not tap into that? As you're improving yourself, you're also selling your data to the same people that are buying it without you knowing.
Absolutely. How do you, as one organization, one person, start to move the needle on something as big as perverse incentive models? And it's a system. It's called a system for a reason. There's a lot of participants.
I think you go back to that wide open door that just popped open with the pandemic, and you say, how can we use this as the driver to deploy an infrastructure and to rewire incentives to onboard into a type of infrastructure like this, where this pandemic really mirrors in a large sense our health inequities and our health discrepancies, health system discrepancies prior to the pandemic. So as all this funding and all this cultural change is going on, there's a real opportunity to bring to the ecosystem, to the communities, a simulation of themselves, a simulation of their community, and together and individually say, look, this is the data that is. These are the levers in the equation that you can push and pull to modify your well-being. It's up to you now here. But what we don't have right now is that system. So it's up to you and me, Nick, and a few others, right, to build this system and bring this to our communities and to our households, such that we can actually start playing with our own equalizer, so to speak, our own engineer board of our own life, and optimize for our future.
How would an incentive model work to really get at the healthcare, health inequality piece, right? Because there's money now, there's access, or there's incentives for the provider even to serve a greater population. How do you see that playing in?
Well, I think again, riding the wave, right? Riding the wave of transformation. We're sitting right in the center, in the middle, I should say, not the center, but the middle of the transformation from volume-based care to value-based care. The onus and the impetus for provider systems and insurers to take care of an individual over their life in a high quality, low cost, high experience, equation is before us. And the only way you can do that is by treating the patient like a consumer. And the only way you can do that is by actually understanding the data from the consumer themselves of what motivates them, what incentivizes them, what barriers they have, what they want, what their ideals are, et cetera, et cetera. So the real challenge is, how do you build that relationship? How do you get those data streams to?
Yeah, don't let that interrupt your train of thought. I've got the answer to all of the world's problems. Hold on. Hey, okay, guys, go do your homework. That's fun.
I know.
No, that's great.
So it's about understanding that data means more now than ever to all stakeholders in the ecosystem, and us taking that data.
Yeah. Well, and as you go from value, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was just trying to give you a break there. But as you move from volume-based to value-based, every individual and every set of data is equally as valuable. It's equally important.
It is. Sorry, man.
No, you're good. So, and that sort of equals the playing field too. It's not which insurance card do you have, or are you uninsured? It's like, no, your data and your there's value to be created here, and there's value to extract on the provider side too. So if they can be getting equal value regardless of who
that's right
they're helping, then
everybody's flying blind right now, mm-hmm. Right? At the end of the day, only about 11 to 12% of the data in the health system right now is, or I should say, 100% of the data in the health system right now is only accounts for about 11 to 12% of the actual data that drives our health. So that's 90% roughly that's still sitting out there. So overnight, you can get a 9x on any intervention.
Yeah, no, that's great. Every time we talk, it's always dynamic and very visionary, and you've got a lot of energy and a drive to the mission. What's, if you have the ability to answer this right now without the kids screaming, what's your why? What's kind of driving this force that's causing you to innovate?
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I've felt so much pain. I've seen so much wrong. I know I have so much more than so many other people. And I can't live with myself knowing that I've spent a day not trying to solve these inequities. And so, innovation, transformation is the only way we can, solve for this. It's not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's not incremental improvement. It's the reorientation of the system. And that's the only way I can ensure that I can sleep at night with a smile on my face, or die and feel like I've left it all on the playing field. Yep. So, I can't look at my daughter's eyes. I can't look at them in the eyes. I can't look at myself in the mirror without knowing that I've given it, my best shot at changing the system.
Yeah, well, you've definitely picked a lane and a path, and you're pretty much attacking it on a daily basis, and that's super commendable. And I think, everyone's searching for like finding work, meaning in work, and finding your purpose, and work-life balance is always it's a lie. It's one of the either the 7 lies you tell yourself or the 9 lies you tell yourself about work. I can't remember the title of that book, but you're not working if you're doing something that you really care about. It's not. Balance implies that you need to not do as much of that, but if you care about it and something you're running towards with like the same conviction that you are, then doesn't feel like you're working a day in your life.
That's it, man. I chose a long time ago not to have income be my lead indicator, but whether or not I hit snooze in the morning is.
Yeah.
If I can get up and bounce out of bed and not reach for that snooze button, I know I'm on the right path.
What time are you getting up these days?
4:30, 4:45.
Bam.
Boom.
What's your favorite day of the week?
Oh, Saturday. Every day is Saturday, though.
Oh, for
and
real. Okay.
That's the perspective I have, man. I try to live like the only pressures, the only change in my day or what's happening in society that's been scripted for us that put pressures on my every day, which is Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, that's great. I always answer that with Monday because it's like, man, Monday, the week is full of promise and you got so much time to get all your shit done. And then by Friday is my least favorite day because you're like, oh man, I'm rushing towards some false end, to like end this week. But I like that. 4 a.m. is definitely a goal. I don't think I've hit that yet.
It definitely slows down the Netflix watching because by 8 o'clock I'm done.
I mean, God, I could just cancel cable. I might just throw away. Yeah, I could just throw away my Netflix practically and just be like, hey, if I didn't have that, it's like entertain yourself, play like.
Well, I mean, it gets back to how you choose your time and what you choose your time on. I mean, look, if you're trying to do something big and rewire life as you know it, both for yourself and for society at all, every minute matters.
Yeah. So this has been cool. We've definitely hit on some very big points, whether it's, looking yourself in the mirror and being proud of what you're doing every day, to the movement from volume-based to value-based care and what all that kind of entails and the potential openings that provides in the world. And also, the data and the monetization potential of said data, including systems. Systems don't even do a good job of fully maximizing their monetary potential and the data they have. So if they can get more money, they want to get more data. If they want to get more data, they got to go treat more patients. They got to serve greater populations. Then they're going to have the money to pay more workers, to pay more physicians. Hopefully we can create kind of a virtuous circle there and be a part of that. And I think that's part of the mission of you, DHIT. I know we're working together on some things, so I share in that. Man. All right. Well, let's wrap up. I know we've got a busy schedule, but I say, if we're talking about the gym, that was definitely, a HIIT workout, high intensity.
Yeah, baby.
Interval.
Let's
hit the gym, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do that shit.
Mental gym, physical gym, emotional, metabolic, all.
That's right.
It's about that replay system. It's about never settling and always moving.
Yep. All right, Michael. As always, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to catching up soon.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, peace.